Hello everyone, amazing to be with you again. My name is Adam Livingston and I am the Bitcoin Wizard. Today's topic is a fun one that is very near and dear to my heart. And it is that, in my humble opinion, your employer 401k is a scam. And before we have some guy pipe up in the audience and shriek, "But you can get a self-directed 401k." Well, yeah, but not everyone can. In fact, not even close to everybody can. So keep it zipped. Remember, this is not financial advice, this is financial entertainment. Legally, I can't give financial advice, so you'll have to go listen to your stupid, idiot, moron, low IQ financial advisor. Maybe you can even show him this video. I'm totally 100% sure he'll be able to debunk everything I say. So this is the reality of the situation, folks. Let me break the spell real quick. You are not saving for retirement. You are funding your own minimum security prison sentence, served in monthly installments until age 59 and a half. When the warden finally gives you back your commissary. And when you try to break out early, whack 10% penalty plus taxes because screw you for wanting to access your own damn money. Let me ask you something serious. If I told you right now, give me 15% of your paycheck for the next 40 years, I'll hold it in a vault you can't touch, only invest it in a glorified S&P skin suit, charge you hidden fees, and then maybe, just maybe, I'll let you have it back when you're too old to do a pull-up, would you call that a savings plan or a cult with better branding? That's the 401k. It's not a retirement vehicle. It's a tax-deferred liquidity graveyard managed by bureaucrats and HR managers whose primary skill is scheduling pizza parties and pretending they care about your future. You think you own that money? Try touching it. Just try. You'll be spiritually waterboarded with paperwork, penalties, and legalese so dense it might as well be written in CIA code. Your capital is locked behind a financial Rube Goldberg machine made of timers, tax traps, and financial finger traps. It's Guantanamo Bay for your dollars. You're told it's smart, you're told to max it out every year, or you're some kind of irresponsible pleb. But no one ever tells you the truth, and that's what I'm here for. You are being coerced into voluntary imprisonment by a system that feeds on your ignorance. Because if you actually had full control over your capital, if you could deploy it into asymmetric bets, high-velocity plays, or God forbid, even Bitcoin, you might become unemployable. You might become free. Retirement isn't the goal. Sovereignty is, and the 401k is a leash with a tax write-off. Let me introduce you to the machine. It doesn't have gears. It has Form 5500s, vesting cliffs, and blackout periods. It doesn't run on oil. It runs on confusion, compliance, and your slowly evaporating dreams of early retirement. This beast was born from the ERISA legislation in the 1970s. Not to help you, no, that's just the bedtime story. It was created so corporations could offload pension risk to you. It's a liability laundering operation wearing a necktie. They handed you a bucket and said, "Congratulations, you now get to fund your own future. Just don't spill a drop for the next 40 years and don't ask where you're allowed to pour it. You can contribute pre-tax, but only a limited menu of funds handpicked by Janet from payroll and the financial advisor she met at an airport Marriott. You can take a loan, but only up to 50% of the balance, repay it on time, or we nuke it with taxes and penalties. You can manage your capital, but only when we're not in a blackout period, which is HR speak for sit down, peasant." And let's talk about the dual control system. Your money is trapped behind a firewall of two entities. Your employer, who decides when and how you access it, and the government, who decides if you ever deserve to. Short beat, you don't own this money, you babysit it. Like a prisoner who gets to look at their own food but can't eat until the warden rings the bell. This isn't a retirement plan, it's a financial panopticon. You're inside the cage, clapping like a trained seal every time your employer tosses you a matching contribution, while quietly bleeding your capital dry with administrative fees and delayed access penalties. And we call this freedom? The 401k isn't broken necessarily, it's functioning exactly as it was designed. To keep your wealth gated, delayed, and diluted until the machine decides you're old enough to touch what was always yours. You ever walk into a grocery store and see 30 brands of cereal, but every single box is just corn, sugar, and lies? That's your 401k investment menu. They give you 10, 20, maybe 30 funds. Sounds diverse, right? Until you realize they're all just rebranded S&P clones dressed up like a Halloween costume for index zombies. It's not a buffet, it's a feeding trough. Eat up, little piggy. Target date funds, they funnel 90% of you straight into the same risk-diluted, fee-paddled coma of mediocrity. It's like giving prisoners the option to pick the color of their jumpsuit and calling it freedom. Oh, but they tell you you're empowered. You get to pick between the growth fund, the balanced fund, or the aggressive fund. That's 6% more exposed to tech stocks and 100% more full of fecal matter. And then the real kicker are the fees. You don't see them, but they're there, crawling through your portfolio like termites in a fiat shack. Admin fees, 12B1 fees, wrap fees, advisory fees. It's like being mugged by a spreadsheet. And nobody warns you about the beta monoculture. Every fund is just a slightly different flavor of don't rock the boat. It's all correlated, all safe, all tame. No Bitcoin, no startups, no asymmetric bets. Just decades of beta exposure and an IV drip of hope. You're not investing, you're complying. The entire thing is designed to give you the illusion of control while keeping your capital strapped to a slow-moving train headed straight for mediocrity. Your money isn't growing, it's melting faster than inflation. This isn't a menu, it's a padded room, and the only choice you're given is how politely you'll accept your own sedation. Ah yes, the sacred chant of the financial clergy. You'll pay less in taxes when you retire. It sounds wise, doesn't it? Until you realize it's based on the assumption that in 30 years you'll be broke, the government will be benevolent, and the dollar will still be worth more than a banana peel. That's not a strategy, that's Stockholm Syndrome. They sold you on deferral like tax is just this monster you can dodge now and gently pet later. But you're not necessarily avoiding the tax, you're postponing it into an unknowable future with a bankrupt empire run by octogenarian goblins printing trillions while asking you to clap for the soft landing. You think tax rates will be lower when you retire? We've got $37 trillion in debt, Social Security is a Ponzi scheme on life support, and every politician is 5 minutes away from proposing a wealth tax on your Fidelity account to protect the children. And just wait for the real kicker, required minimum distributions. RMDs are when the IRS kicks down your door like a retirement age SWAT team and says, time's up, sell your assets, pay us now or else. They don't care if you need the money. They just want their cut, and if you don't comply, penalty plus tax plus rage. You deferred your sovereignty, you mortgaged your liquidity, and you did it in exchange for a promise from a government that prints money while gaslighting you into thinking 3% inflation is healthy. You know what's not healthy? Owning nothing and thanking your HR portal for the privilege. Deferral isn't an advantage, it's a leash. And you're praying it doesn't tighten around your throat as you hit age 70 and get slapped with a tax bill from a government you barely recognize. It's not a tax plan, it's a ticking time bomb wrapped in a pastel brochure. Now let's talk about what you really lose in a 401k, not just money, not just control, you lose velocity, you lose optionality. You lose the ability to strike when the iron is hot because your capital is busy marinating in a lukewarm retirement jail cell guarded by HR goblins and IRS death monks. You see a balance on a screen and think you're rich. You're not, you're just watching your wealth rot inside a box you can't open for 30 years. Try to access it early, pay 10% penalty, fill out a form, get rejected, appeal to HR, pray for hardship withdrawal status, and if you're lucky, maybe they'll toss you a bone. But God forbid you want to pivot to escape the shadow inflation bleeding you dry. Want to fund your own startup? Tough luck. Want to buy Bitcoin during a market downturn? Nope. Want to front-run inflation, buy land, or invest in private deals? Sorry, your capital is locked behind the corporate bureaucratic firewall until you hit the sacred number 59.5. Not 59, not 60, no, 59.5. As if the government is setting your life to Gregorian decimal precision. Now let's talk about the real scam. You think your 401k is growing, right? It says 8% return last year on the statement. That's cute. Did you adjust that for M2 monetary expansion? I'm willing to bet your HR portal didn't comment on that, because the Fed printed 40% of all dollars in existence in a matter of a few years, and shadow inflation has been chewing up your portfolio like Nosferatu sucking up virgin blood. You're earning 6%, 7%, maybe 9%, while the money supply is expanding at a rate that would make Weimar Germany say, slow down. Your real return isn't positive, it's negative. Your purchasing power is leaking out the side like a punctured life raft, while Fidelity mails you a pie chart and a thumbs up. You think you're building wealth, you're not. You're treading water in a pool full of acid while sovereign actors are stacking BTC, escaping fiat debasement, and staying liquid enough to actually respond to the world as it is. You gave up liquidity, you gave up flexibility, you got 7% in a world where the McChicken went up 300% and nobody even blinked. That's not retirement planning, that's financial euthanasia. You are dying, not slowly, but quickly. Let's talk about the golden calf of the 401k cult. The one phrase they repeat like it's gospel. But the employer match is free money. Yeah, so is the candy in the van. But you don't hop in with a smile and a vesting schedule. Let me decode this for you. The match isn't free, it's deferred compensation. It's the money you already earned with a leash attached. It's them throwing handcuffs on you disguised as generosity. They're not giving you a gift, they're paying you in slow motion with restrictions and a compliance clause. They are slowly paying you peanuts to keep you as a prisoner. Let's talk about vesting cliffs, the biggest joke in corporate finance. Stay with us for 5 years and we'll let you keep what you already earned. Excuse me? That's not a benefit, that's a hostage negotiation. They're dangling your own paycheck over a pit of legal jargon and calling it retention strategy. Let's incentivize the fiat cattle to stay on their farm prison by giving them enough to take the family on a 3-day trip to Branson, Missouri, only all of it will be vaporized by monetary debasement. Meanwhile, you're still sitting there thinking, well, it's something, right? I should take the match. Sure, take it, but understand this. After inflation, tax drag, fee erosion, and early withdrawal penalties, your free money is actually a slow-motion haircut performed by a blindfolded barber with a government badge. Let's do the math. 4% employer match, 7% return, 30% tax when you withdraw, 10% penalty if you don't follow the maze like a good little rat, and a 15% real-world cost of living increase in the last 24 months. You are getting mugged by math in a suit and tie, and you're thanking the mugger for the coupon he left behind. If a match requires a leash, if it's locked behind years of servitude, if you can't touch it without state permission, then it's not a benefit, it's a behavioral compliance tool. The real flex is stacking sovereign capital that you can access anytime, anywhere, and without needing to lick the boots of HR for permission. All right, let's cut through the noise and look at what actually matters. Returns, because no matter how many compliance webinars they force you to watch, no matter how many pastel-colored pie charts they shove in your inbox, you can't retire on vibes. You retire on performance. This chart right here is a financial war crime. It's Bitcoin versus your beloved target date fund since 2013. And folks, it isn't a competition, it's a public execution. While your 2050 fund eked out a heroic 7% per year, Bitcoin was doing an average of 100+% CAGR, turning every $1,000 into a number so offensive Fidelity won't even let you simulate it. Your 401k gave you peace of mind. You know what else gives people peace of mind? Delusion. The market's up? Yay! The market's down? Just zoom out. All while you pay fees to underperform inflation and get thanked with a taxable time bomb at age 72. Let's be clear, Bitcoin didn't get lucky. It monetized scarcity, liquidity, and truth. Your target date fund monetized hope, inertia, and regulatory capture. And you paid for that optimism with a lifetime of underperformance wrapped in a navy blue Schwab login screen. Go in on fees plus inflation, your 6% return becomes -4 after inflation, then -9% after fees, then -14% after taxes. Congratulations, you just sprinted on a treadmill for 40 years. Meanwhile, Bitcoiners stacked hard money with instant liquidity. bearer optionality, global settlement, finality, and a supply cap that makes gold look inflationary. And they did it without kissing a plan administrator's ring. Do you remember that one time when you needed $13,000 for a hardship withdrawal because insurance didn't cover your son's colon puncturing incident? Remember when he almost died for having too much fun with the neighbor's horse? And you had to lick your HR director's toes in order to get 5 minutes to beg like a little weasel? Opt out of that reality. Bitcoin doesn't care about your risk tolerance, your HR's default fund menu, or your polite compliance. It rewards conviction, while the 401k rewards obedience with mediocrity. All right, let me take you on a journey through the haunted house of risk that is your 401k. Strap in because this isn't a portfolio. It's a machine of financial liability, and at the bottom is you naked holding a Fidelity app and praying. Let's walk the stack. Employer solvency risk. If your company goes under, good luck getting anything unvested. Plan administrator risk. They can screw up allocations, delay disbursements, mismanage rollovers, and you'll be placed on hold forever. Custodian risk. If the custodian implodes, like, say, every custodian in 2008, your funds are frozen in time like they're trapped in a demonic snow globe. Fund manager risk. You're trusting some overpaid nitwit who went to Dartmouth to chase yield by buying the same 7 tech stocks everyone else is already overexposed to. IRS policy risk. They can change the rules retroactively without notice. Congressional risk, because who doesn't want their life savings partially controlled by 85-year-olds who think the internet is powered by mice on treadmills? This isn't diversification, this is counterparty roulette. You are the main character in a Saw movie directed by Vanguard. And every level of this risk stack just adds more people who can lose your money, freeze your money, tax your money, or reclassify your money as unrealized gains and take it preemptively because equity. Now contrast that to Bitcoin. No CEO, no custodian required, no fund manager, no Sunday night emergency meetings at the Fed, no printing, no dilution, no bailout clause. Bitcoin has one moving part, a private key, and you hold it. That's it. That's the whole stack. It's not built on debt, derivatives, or delusion. It's built on math, thermodynamics, and the complete absence of bureaucratic middlemen. The 401k is a web of middlemen whispering, "We're here to help," while picking your pockets with legal tweezers. Bitcoin is a digital guillotine for that system. Clean, brutal, unstoppable. You don't need permission. You don't need a plan administrator. You just need conviction. And a cold wallet. One represents sovereignty, the other is a fiat suicide vest, and you're wearing it while grinning from ear to ear. Let's pull the mask off, because your 401k doesn't just trap your money, they trap your mind. This isn't a financial plan, it's a psychological op, designed by HR consultants, compliance officers, and economic wizards who studied how to pacify a population without firing a single bullet. They don't need force, they don't need walls, they have something better. Auto-enrollment, default allocations, and opt-out friction. Welcome to the behavioral cult of death. Oh wow, thank you corporate overlords, you enrolled me in a target date fund with no upside and high fees. How thoughtful. Now I don't have to think, because thinking is dangerous. Thinking might lead to action, and action might lead to non-compliance. The entire system runs on inertia. You get onboarded at a new job and bam, 401k setup, done. You didn't choose anything, you didn't evaluate risk, you didn't read the prospectus, you clicked next 12 times and felt like a responsible adult. You said it and you forgot it, but guess what? They didn't forget you. They remembered your compliance and they monetized it. You became a yield cow, quiet, predictable, auto-deducted. They milk you for decades while whispering bedtime stories like, "You're doing the right thing, stay the course." Meanwhile, the course leads straight off a fiscal cliff and into a liquidity graveyard full of people who trusted the process. This isn't discipline, this is sedation. It's engineered complacency. Your 401k is a capital pacifier. It keeps you just calm enough to never ask, what if this is all a lie? Bitcoin doesn't need behavioral tricks. It doesn't auto-enroll you. It doesn't nudge you. It just sits there 24/7 on the open market, daring you to wake up and take your freedom back. The fiat system engineers compliance. Bitcoin demands consciousness. Which one sounds like the future to you? Let's get apocalyptic for a second. You think your 401k is safe? You think that it's yours, that the government wouldn't dare touch it? Buddy, you're not holding an asset, you're holding a promise, and if history teaches us anything, it's that governments break promises like frat boys break beer bottles. Let me remind you what the record looks like. Argentina nationalized private pensions overnight. Cyprus straight up seized bank deposits to pay off EU debt. Poland, Hungary, Ireland raided retirement funds to balance the budget. United States, we already have precedent: pension cuts, means-tested Social Security, retroactive tax law rewrites. This is not paranoia, it's precedent. You think your 401k is off limits? It's literally the juiciest target imaginable. It's centralized, it's documented, it's inaccessible to you, and it's one piece of legislation away from being converted into treasury bonds for your own safety. They'll call it a Patriotic Investment Reallocation Act and pass it at 2 a.m. while you're asleep, because you were a good little citizen and trusted the system. We're not seizing it, we're protecting it from market volatility. Translation, we're using your life savings to bail out a dying fiat regime built on 40 years of lies and MMT delusion. If you can't move your money in real time, you are the mark. Your 401k is a stationary target in an economic war zone, and you are waving a flag that says, I trust the people debasing the currency to guard my future. Bitcoin has no bail-ins, no RMDs, no policy committees, no seizure mechanisms. It lives on a network no government can shut down and no central bank can rewrite. You don't own your 401k, you lease it from the state, until they decide to change the terms, of course. Okay, let's take a breath. We've walked through the hellscape, you've seen the traps, you've felt the leash tightening. Now let's talk about breaking the damn chain. This is the slide they don't want you to see. This is the uninstallation guide for the fiat retirement matrix. These are your exits, your back doors, your ways out of the capital containment unit. Option number 1 is a self-directed IRA. Roll your funds out of your employer plan and into a self-directed IRA. Sounds cool, right? Except now you're navigating the labyrinth of custodians, prohibited transaction landmines, and IRS booby traps. You get more options technically, but it's like being let out of solitary confinement and into a slightly bigger cell where the warden just wears a hoodie. Are you self-employed, freelancer, run your own biz? Boom, solo 401k, you're the boss, you can even buy Bitcoin with it. But again, custodial traps, tax reporting nightmares, and the IRS still breathing down your neck like a creepy ex. It's a better cage, but it's still a cage. Option 3, here's the first real move. Stop maxing it out. Just contribute enough to grab the employer match if you want, and then divert the rest of your capital into something you actually control. Bitcoin, private equity, cash flow plays, anything outside the Roach Motel of traditional finance. Option 4 is a liquidity stack. Build a fortress. Step 1, a liquid cash reserve, just a little bit of money to keep you afloat. Step 2, stack Bitcoin like your sovereignty and life depends on it, because it does. Step 3, once you've got the base built, consider strategic leverage like I did against your own assets on your terms, not some fund managers. This is about reclaiming your capital operating system. You're not a yield cow. You don't need a compliance portal and a quarterly update from a guy in khakis to tell you what your future looks like. You've seen the cage, now you have the keys. But keys only matter if you have the guts to use them. This is it, the final layer, the moments where we stop thinking in spreadsheets and start thinking in sovereignty. You've been trained to think of retirement as the finish line. But what if I told you the entire framework is a scam? A narrative engineered by bureaucrats and economists to keep you docile, dependent, and plugged into a machine that harvests your labor for 3 decades before giving you a participation trophy, called a 4% withdrawal rate. Step 1, audit. Know your enemy. Audit your fees, your vesting schedule, your tax bracket trajectory, and your liquidity profile. Read the fine print they hope you never open. Number 2, decide. Set your caps, pick your custody path, define your Bitcoin allocation, draw your escape route with surgical clarity. Number 3 is execute. Buy the cold wallet, build your dollar cost average schedule, track your taxes, model your scenarios, move like you've seen the beast and you refuse to be devoured. Because at the day, this isn't about performance, it's about control. Who controls your capital? Who decides when you can touch it? Who dictates your liquidity? Who holds the leash? With Bitcoin, you opt out. You don't beg, you don't wait, you don't hope, you act. You store your energy in a network that can't be debased, censored, seized, or reclassified by the whims of broken men and broken institutions. This isn't a pitch, it's a declaration of financial independence. A commitment to never ask for permission again, a choice to hold capital that bends the knee to no one. Not HR, not Fidelity, not the IRS, not even Jerome Printer Go Burr Powell himself. You can die obedient or you can live sovereign. The decision is yours. But make no mistake, only one of these paths end in freedom. My name is Adam Livingston and I am the Bitcoin Wizard. Send this to your friends and family to save them from the dying system and import them into the new monetary order. Leave a comment with what you'd like me to comment on next. Have a terrific day, folks. Class dismissed.